All right, so get this. We're going deep into Lara Jean's world today.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, you sent over these excerpts from P.S. I Still Love You,
Right.
the second book in Jenny Hands, to All the Boys I've Loved Before, and whoa, things get pretty intense.
Yeah, they do.
So we're going to take those excerpts, pick out the good stuff, and see what it tells us about Lara Jean.
Good.
Her relationships, the whole teenage thing.
Love, family, growing up.
Exactly.
Sounds like a plan.
So we're starting off on New Year's Day at Lara Jean's aunt's house. Remember that letter she wrote to Peter at the end of the first book?
Yeah, I do.
Well, she's all set for this romantic moment, but family drama's already brewing.
Right from the start.
Yeah, and it's interesting how the story contrasts Lara Jean's excitement about her relationship with her younger sister, Kitty.
Who's not exactly thrilled about wearing a handball.
Right.
Totally different priorities.
It's so true, Kitty's all about comfort and fitting in at that age, while Lara Jean is totally focused on,
Matters of the heart.
Exactly.
And then there's Haven, the cousin.
Oh, yeah, Haven, adding fuel to the fire.
Noticing Lara Jean's Instagram photo with Peter.
From their ski trip.
Almost like foreshadowing.
Don't you think?
Definitely sets the stage for some drama.
Especially back then, before everyone had smartphones. Social media was new territory.
It was.
That photo becomes a reminder of how easily private moments can become public.
A big theme in the story.
Huge. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting. Lara Jean finally gives Peter her letter.
Makes things official.
Yeah, remember, she goes to his house on New Year's Day expecting this heartfelt reconciliation. But Peter's reaction is, well, not what she had in mind.
Not at all.
He seems distant, almost annoyed by her apology.
It's like her romantic ideal crashes into reality.
Exactly.
And real-life relationships, especially with someone like Peter Kavinsky, are rarely straightforward.
Right.
Plus, let's not forget about Genevieve.
Oh, Genevieve, Peter's ex.
The unresolved tension from the first book, it kind of hangs over them.
Creates that unease.
Definitely adds complexity to their relationship.
Oh, for sure. And speaking of complex relationships, we see Margot, the eldest Song sister, heartbreak over her breakup with Josh.
Josh, the boy next door.
The one who got one of Lara Jean's infamous love letters.
Right.
So the scene where Margot breaks down crying, it's striking.
Because she's always been the composed, mature one.
Yeah, and it shifts their dynamic. Lara Jean becomes the caregiver.
Highlighting that back and forth in sibling relationships.
You're right. Sometimes you're the one offering support, sometimes you need it.
Exactly.
And speaking of shifting dynamics, Lara Jean and Peter finally have their first official date.
To the movies.
A classic. But of course, nothing's ever simple in Lara Jean's world.
Oh, no, not at all.
What could have been a sweet first date gets thrown off by Genevieve.
Happens to be at the same movie theater.
Talk about awkward.
The ultimate awkward.
First date jitters are one thing, but your boyfriend's ex showing up.
That's next level.
Totally. So, what do you think this scene tells us about Lara Jean?
Well, she fixates on the movie plot, almost trying to escape the awkwardness. Makes you wonder, does she retreat into her imagination when things get uncomfortable?
Interesting.
Maybe it's a coping mechanism, but it could prevent her from really connecting with Peter. What do you think?
That's a great point. And then things take a dramatic turn.
Oh, yeah.
That video of them in the hot tub from the ski trip.
It ends up online.
Full-blown school scandal. What a nightmare.
Total nightmare.
Yeah.
It reminds you how easily a private moment can be twisted and broadcast.
Especially in the age of social media.
Right. It makes you think about double standards.
And the way girls are often judged more harshly.
For the same actions.
Exactly. And it's interesting how Lara Jean and Chris react so differently.
Right. Lara Jean wants to disappear, while Chris is all about leaning into it.
Contrasting coping mechanisms for sure. What do you make of that?
Shows how differently people handle public scrutiny. Chris has that take no prisoners attitude, while Lara Jean is more introspective, sensitive.
Yeah, she is.
But it also brings up a bigger question.
Okay.
Can we ever fully control our narrative online? What happens when a private moment becomes a public spectacle?
It's something we all have to think about.
Definitely.
And as if things weren't complicated enough, Lara Jean gets a letter from John Ambrose McLaren.
Oh, John Ambrose.
Remember him?
One of the recipients of her old love letters.
Yeah, and he's back in town.
The timing couldn't be more interesting.
Right. Lara Jean's relationship with Peter is imploding.
And John represents a different path.
A simpler time.
Before all the drama.
And he's such a contrast to Peter. Peter's the classic bad boy, while John is the,
Boy next door. Kind, thoughtful, genuinely interested in her.
Makes you wonder what might have happened if things were different.
Absolutely. John introduces that what-if element.
Reminding us that there are different paths we could take.
Different choices leading to different outcomes.
And then, to make things even more interesting, there's this high-stakes game called Assassin.
Assassin, huh?
Where you have to tag your target with a sticker.
Classic.
It's fun, but what's fascinating is how it becomes a metaphor for love and relationships.
Interesting.
Just like in the game, there's strategy.
Alliances.
Trails.
It all mirrors what's happening in Lara Jean's real life.
Especially her feelings for Peter and John.
Right. And speaking of drama, things come to a head at the USO party.
The one Lara Jean's been planning at the retirement home?
She put so much into it.
Her heart and soul. But then Peter and Genevieve show up.
Oh, no. Talk about bad timing.
It's like the universe is trying to keep them apart.
Or at least make things as dramatic as possible.
For sure, and the tension is so thick.
You could cut it with a knife.
Seriously. Peter is clearly upset, confused, maybe even a little jealous.
Seeing Lara Jean having fun with John.
Right.
Yeah.
It disrupts the peace and joy she created.
Almost like he's trying to reclaim his place.
But is there even space for him anymore?
That's the question.
Well, Lara Jean seems to have an answer because she escapes the party with John.
Leaving Peter and Genevieve behind.
A total, I'm done with this drama move.
Choosing herself.
Right. And just as things are getting good between Lara Jean and John,
they're laughing, reminiscing, even share a kiss.
Genevieve drops a bombshell.
A bombshell.
She admits she knew about Lara Jean and Peter's kiss at the ski lodge, and that she deliberately tried to sabotage their relationship.
Wow. A total game changer.
It reframes everything we thought we knew about Genevieve.
Makes you question her motives.
And everything, like we're seeing this hidden side of her.
Driven by insecurity.
And a need for control.
Right. It shows that even seemingly strong characters have vulnerabilities.
Absolutely. And it adds another layer of complexity to the love triangle.
It does. It also highlights how past experiences shape our actions.
How so?
Genevieve's behavior might stem from her own hurt.
Fear of losing Peter.
Leading her to make those choices.
Like a chain reaction of hurt feelings and misunderstandings.
Exactly. But amidst the turmoil, Lara Jean finds a way to channel her energy.
To something positive.
Remember that elaborate cake she's making for the school cakewalk?
Oh yeah, the cake.
It's how she copes with stress.
Through baking.
A way to express creativity and find comfort.
And while she's getting ingredients, she witnesses another relationship drama.
Really?
She sees Mrs. Rothschild, the woman Kitty's been trying to set up with their dad, kissing another man.
Oh, wow. Like a crash course in adult relationships.
It shows her that love and relationships are rarely straightforward.
No matter your age.
There are always challenges, unexpected twists.
It's a tough lesson, but an important one. And it's interesting how Kitty's also becoming aware of this.
Kitty.
Remember her commentary on love and heartbreak?
Yeah, she's insightful.
It adds humor and innocence to the story.
Reminding us that even amidst drama, life goes on.
Exactly. And amidst the chaos, there are sweet moments.
Like when John drives Kitty to school in his dad's vintage Mustang.
Such a heartwarming gesture.
It showed his kindness.
His desire to be a part of Lara Jean's world.
More than just a romantic interest.
Right. A contrast to Peter's self-centered behavior.
Totally. And just as Lara Jean starts leaning toward John, Peter shows up at the treehouse.
Oh, no.
Where they're spending time together.
Here we go again.
He returns the heart locket, confesses he couldn't imagine another girl wearing it.
A grand gesture. But is it enough?
That's the question. It shows he recognizes Lara Jean's importance.
But there are doubts.
Has he really changed?
Can he offer the stability Lara Jean deserves?
And the episode ends with another cliffhanger. Lara Jean drives off with John, leaving Peter behind.
Choosing a path of healing and self-discovery.
It's a powerful image, capturing the uncertainty of her choices.
On one hand, there's Peter with his passion and complexity.
And on the other, John.
Representing a calmer, more grounded love.
So what do you think? Who should Lara Jean choose?
That's a tough one, that cliffhanger. Right, Lara Jean has a lot to think about after that.
Yeah, so it seems like she's trying to distract herself by focusing on her volunteer work.
At the retirement home.
Remember that USO-themed party she's been planning?
Oh, right, yeah.
It's like she's channeling all her energy into it.
Makes sense. It's a way to cope.
Exactly. Like, think about it. Heartbreak betrayal, confusion.
And instead of dwelling on
She's
it,
creating this whole experience for the residents.
using her passions,
Totally. Vintage decorations, period
the
music.
whole 9 yards.
Even gets a 1940s makeover from Chris.
Oh, fun.
Who wouldn't want to look like a wartime sweetheart?
Right. And we meet some amazing characters at the retirement home.
Stormy.
She's so feisty.
I love her.
Independent woman, colorful past, loves romance,
Becomes a mentor to Lara Jean.
offers advice.
A fresh perspective. And speaking of unexpected, John Ambrose is still around.
Exchanging letters?
A calm amidst the chaos.
It's interesting how he represents a different kind of love.
Compared to Peter,
Their interactions are more grounded.
focused on shared interests.
A genuine connection.
Makes you wonder, is that what she needs right now?
A love that feels safe.
Maybe. And the assassin game takes a turn. Remember how determined Lara Jean is to win?
Yeah, she wants to tag John.
At Peter's lacrosse game.
I sense some subconscious motivation there.
Right, like it's a way for her to feel in control.
In a situation where she feels powerless,
Exactly. Relationships falling apart, Genevieve's betrayal.
questioning everything.
So she focuses on something she can win.
Makes sense. But things don't go according to plan, do they?
Nope, not at all. Instead of a quick tag, she ends up spending time with John.
At the game.
They're laughing, sharing stories, real intimacy.
Beyond the letters.
And just when things are feeling good, she sees Peter and Genevieve
Together.
embracing in front of his house.
Ouch. Like a punch to the gut.
It's brutal. Reminds her that even though they're broken up,
The feelings don't just disappear.
and it brings back that question.
Are Peter and Genevieve really over?
So impulsively, Lara Jean tags Peter out of the game.
Oh, wow.
Like she's channeling her hurt into this act.
Severing their connection.
Symbolic, right. Letting go of him in the game and maybe in her heart.
A step towards moving on.
But she's still struggling. Heartbroken, confused.
Questioning everything about love and relationships.
It's a lot for a teenager.
It is. She's going through a major transition.
First love didn't go as planned. Friendships are tested.
Figuring out who she is.
It's messy.
But it's part of growing up.
Like she's caught between her past with John.
And the uncertainty of a future with Peter.
Exactly. And then there's the USO party. All her hard work pays off.
The residents are having a blast.
Dancing, singing, pure joy.
She created this magical escape.
For everyone. And she even shares a dance with John.
Romantic.
Really sweet. But of course, no good party goes uninterrupted.
Oh, right. Enter Peter and Genevieve.
The tension is back. Palpable.
Peter's upset, confused, jealous.
Seeing Lara Jean with John.
Right. It disrupts the peace she created.
Like he's trying to reclaim his place.
But she chooses herself.
Escapes with John.
Leaving Peter and Genevieve behind. Done with the drama.
It shows she's not going to be caught in the middle anymore.
And just as things are getting good between Lara Jean and John,
Laughing, reminiscing, a kiss.
Genevieve drops the bombshell. She knew about the kiss at the ski lodge.
All along.
And she tried to sabotage their relationship.
Wow, betrayal on multiple levels.
It makes you question everything about Genevieve.
And their friendship.
It's a reminder that even people we trust can let us down.
A tough lesson. Lara Jean is dealing with so much already.
Now she has to process this too.
Her world is shifting.
But she finds solace in baking.
That familiar comfort.
Right, remember that elaborate cake for the cakewalk?
Oh, yeah.
It's how she expresses herself.
Creativity amidst chaos.
And while she's getting ingredients, she sees something else.
Mrs. Rothschild, remember?
The one Kitty's trying to set up with their dad.
She's kissing another man.
Oh no. More relationship drama.
It's like a message from the universe.
Relationships are complicated.
No matter your age.
And Kitty's starting to pick up on this too.
Your commentary is so funny.
A bit of humor in all the drama.
Reminding us that life goes on.
And there are still sweet moments.
Like when John drives Kitty to school.
In his dad's Mustang.
It was so thoughtful. More than just romantic interest.
He cares about her happiness.
Such a contrast to Peter. And then, as Lara Jean is leaning towards John, Peter shows up.
At the treehouse.
With the heart locket.
Yep.
Says he can't imagine another girl wearing it.
A grand gesture. But is it enough to win her back?
That's the question. He recognizes her importance.
But has he changed?
And the episode ends with another cliffhanger. Lara Jean drives off with John.
Leaving Peter behind.
A crossroads. Two very different paths.
So, who should she choose?
That image, Lara Jean driving off with John, leaving Peter behind, like she's closing a door.
It feels like a turning point.
But Peter's declaration, the locket, it makes things complicated.
It does.
Do you think he's really changed? Or is it just another grand gesture?
Hard to say. His actions have been so up and down.
Yeah, influenced by Genevieve.
Exactly. The locket might be genuine, but then there's the whole pattern of behavior.
2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Exactly. Can he give Lara Jean what she needs? The stability.
And then there's John. Such a steady presence, offering comfort, understanding.
Things Peter hasn't.
Remember them at the USO party?
Laughing, dancing.
Easy connection.
Like they truly get each other.
It's a good foundation, right?
For sure. John represents a different kind of love.
Based on respect, shared interests.
Understanding who Lara Jean really is.
But then, that revelation from Genevieve, knowing about the kiss all along,
Sabotaging their relationship.
it changes everything.
Makes you question everything about her.
Right. All her actions take on a new meaning.
Like we're seeing this hidden side.
Driven by insecurity.
A need for control.
It shows that even strong characters have weaknesses.
And it adds another layer to the love triangle.
Definitely. And it highlights how past experiences affect us.
Genevieve's behavior could be from her own hurt,
Fear of losing Peter.
leading to bad choices.
So much hurt and misunderstanding. But Lara Jean finds a way through it.
Baking, right?
Remember that cake for the cakewalk?
Yeah, her way of coping.
Expressing herself, finding comfort, and then she sees Mrs. Rothschild
The one kid he's trying to set up with her dad.
kissing another man.
Whoa! More relationship drama.
It's like, okay, relationships are complicated.
No matter how old you are.
Exactly. And Kitty's picking up on this too,
Our little comments.
adding humor to the story,
Our life goes on.
even with all the drama.
Yeah.
And then there's John driving Kitty to school.
In the Mustang.
So sweet, showing his kindness.
Wanting to be part of Lara Jean's life.
More than just romance.
Such a contrast to Peter.
And then, just as she's leaning towards John, Peter shows up
At the treehouse.
with the locket,
Yeah.
saying he can't imagine anyone else wearing it.
Wow. A big gesture.
But is it enough? Can he really change?
Give her what she deserves.
We end with that image, Lara Jean driving off with John,
Leaving Peter behind.
choosing a different path.
It makes you think, what does she really want?
Who will she choose? And what's she learning about love and relationships?
So many questions.
Well, one thing's for sure, her story isn't over. She's growing, figuring things out, and we'll be here to see where it leads.
Absolutely. And as we wrap this up, let's think about the themes we've explored. Love, friendship, the choices we make. What have we learned? And who do we choose to be in the face of it all?
Thanks for listening.